All right, dude. What's going on with my camera? I don't even know. It's been bothering me for a while now. It just like pops my. Anyways, doesn't matter. That's not what this video is about. Preach finally finished Path of Fire. It looks like, and I've been wanting to see this. I mean, the one I'm looking forward the most is End of Dragons, but he already says that Path of Fire changes everything, and I really want to see what he has to say. So let's watch it. Also, the new expansion beta is out this weekend, so it got me really excited for Guild Wars 2 and any Guild Wars 2 content right now, so I'm coming at this like fucking, let's go! Alright, let's do it. Oh yeah. I'm assuming that was about how easy it is to switch mounts and their capabilities. Dude, I need to get my flying mount. Oh man, this weekend is all Guild Wars 2. If I'm not working tomorrow, bro, it's 3 days of Guild Wars 2.
Path of Fire is the biggest expansion I think they could have done so far. Obviously, I've not hit Icebrood Saga or End of Dragons yet, but this is one of the defining moments in Guild Wars 2's history because it's when they actually brought mounts into the game.
This is what I said. Every time he makes a video, oh my god, I'm getting like teary because I'm so fucking happy about this. Ah, oh, that's crazy. Anyways, every time I see a video by Preach, there's only one thing that comes to mind. First of all, he says how much this experience is better than the previous expansion or previous living world, etc., etc. And the reason why I always say is, at any point when you're playing Guild Wars 2, you are at the worst point of the game. It just keeps getting better. Every goddamn time, it's just better and better and better and better and better. I love it. Alright, let's go. I can't wait for the expansion. I want to try the new build.
This was really difficult for me to sort of accept in an MMO world, is that it took several expansions and big things before mounts ever arrived. Of course, with the updated user experience, I got a mount at like level 20, the Raptor, as I started the base game of Guild Wars 2. But those original players went for years before they brought mounts in. It was one of the defining, changing characteristics of the game. So obviously we're going to focus a hell of a lot on the mounts. So I want to get some stuff out of the way in Path of Fire before we get to the mount system, because it's such an incredibly big deal. Let's talk about Path of Fire in general, what changes they made from Heart of Thorns as their next big expansion. The first thing was the getting away from the vertical nature of the zones. I adored this. Yes, the vertical nature of the old zones is fine. You can get used to it.
Yeah,
it's okay.
But it's annoying.
It's annoying. It's annoying. Instead of going to these vast open worlds, which we got in Path of Fire, was so much better. Oh my god, I could see where I had to go. I wasn't getting confused all the time. I didn't feel like I needed to be like, okay, you have to go around here to circle back around here to then go down.
Yeah, the pacing of Path of Fire was also fucking incredible. As long as you didn't forget, when you get the new mount, to put the mastery for that mount, you would be totally fine. The pacing of the XP for the masteries was fantastic. As soon as you need to level up your Raptor, if you had the master in the Raptor, you would have been able to use the Raptor to go to the bunny area. Once you get the bunny, if you change your master to the bunny, it will level up enough for you to be able to use it properly for whatever it is you need. And then when you get the floaty guy, forgot the name, as long as you get the mastery, you're fucking golden. Even though I don't even think you need mastery for him, really, but it really helps. So the pacing of the game was just so much better.
Down here and do blah, blah, blah. And I know some seasoned players like, that's because you're a noob. Yes.
Yes, that's the point.
I'm new. I'm very new. I haven't played it for years. I haven't spent hours and hours and months in some of these zones, so I've learned all the intricacies. I'm here to enjoy myself. Yes, I'm a noob to the game, and I totally appreciate this, because what it did is it showed that they really had to consider the mount system coming into the game and how people could enjoy it much more. That was such a huge focus in the zone design, and it gave away to having many more little puzzles, especially the mastery points, which are now hidden everywhere, and you can see them, but you can't get them. And that's because you don't have the correct tools in the toolbox yet, and you will later. And that led to me spending hours, because if anybody's ever watched me play a game outside of YouTube of any. I have a stubborn streak. It exists, and sometimes I will spend an ungodly amount of time doing something.
I knew this would be one of them. I managed to get this one without the floaty guy, and I do not remember. I did something similar to what he's doing here. Yeah,
because it's doable.
Yeah, he didn't go high enough. There was a slightly higher point. If you go all the way back where the enemies are, you can actually bunny hop all the way up, and you can get pretty close, and then you can actually glide into it. And I don't have an upgraded glider either.
But if I'd just gone and done something else for a couple of hours and come back later, it would have taken me 2 seconds. But I also enjoy that challenge. That's what it is. It's the Mythic Raider part of me. I love that challenge so much.
I actually love trying to figure out this guy, how to get it. I even went to like the other side where the hero point is and try to go from there, and it's like, nah, not it. Not it, G. But yeah, and later on I was like, wait, once I got the glider guy, I was like, I already had this, and I was like, wait, let me check this. And then I go here, it's like, oh, this is how you're supposed to do it. Yeah, he went from the other side. Nope.
I don't think so.
I even tried to get to here when I was doing it. I was trying to get to here first and glide from there, but you can't stand here.
Oh, I don't think so. So...
Oh, he has the boost too.
It's bloody close, though.
Rest in pieces.
It's bloody close. Widespread. The whole zone layout was full of mystery, and I loved that because I could see everything and I could spot all these things. There was mystery everywhere. There were portals just dotted about. Didn't know what they did. I've seen them in different parts of the early game, but again, you do not have the thing to make this happen. And now there were loads of them, which is exciting for me who's going through these games blind, because I don't really know until I maybe see the trailer before we start and things like that, what each expansion...
I really like that Path of Fire, unlike Heart of Thorns. In Heart of Thorns, it felt like the map was playing against you, which I guess technically what it should have felt like, because you are in enemy territory that is in the forest that is actually controlled by the bad guy. So technically it should work against you, but it felt like the whole story was purposefully like working against you. Whereas here the story is smooth, but you can see all the extras that you can do later on once you're finishing the story. Whereas in Path of Heart of Thorns, it's like you kind of have to participate in a lot of the stuff that you would do end game early, and doesn't leave a lot of mystery. It leaves more like, oh, this is fucking annoying.
Offers. For example, one of the biggest things that I saw in the earliest days of Guild Wars 2 was a boat. People were going around on boats, and logically that should mean that I'm getting the boat relatively early, because there's flying mounts in the game. Obviously, I've seen that.
Boat,
there's all these other things that exist, and a boat is a relatively, comparatively simple piece of tech. But I don't have it, and I don't know when I'm going to get it. It
End of Dragons.
And I see it, but obviously with Path of Fire, I'm expecting to see that there. So the whole zone design, bringing the mounts in and making it much more horizontal, much wider, much larger, allowing you to enjoy that. So good. An immediate change, a quality of life change that I appreciated immensely with Path of Fire. Now, the characters, though, as I said in the Living World review, we're very established now with our team. We're Dragon's Edge, Dragon's Knife, whatever we want to call them, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, the same sort of thing. This team that is our collaborative NPC team that guides us through the story. We love some of them. We hate some of them. But they're established now, and now we're along for their ride. And they're free to add in these extra characters.
I really, like, if there's one complaint that I would have about End of Dragons is, I wanted more Whitlock. I understand why he couldn't be there, but I would have loved to see some Whitlock.
That we can do something with, and you can actually invest some time into developing their characters.
I guess.
And Path of Fire, all about Balthazar and dragons and gaining dragon power and all those kinds of things. There are a few characters that really stood out for me in a huge way. The first one, and this is where I think ArenaNet probably missed the mark, is whether they thought these characters would be a miss or just a little side thing. And ultimately, I was left a little disappointed in a couple of these. The first one was actually the Herald of Balthazar. You meet this character almost immediately as you start the game. And the Herald of Balthazar is this big, powerful woman who fights you and is tough, but occasionally stops and just runs off to murder civilians.
Yep.
Brilliant. That is brilliant. It's visual. It's showing me. She doesn't need to go, I'll murder everybody in this town.
Just goes and kills everyone.
She just does it, and she does it repeatedly throughout the story as she invades places. She brings armies, and she runs around. She just mercilessly, cold blood, murders everybody. Oh, Jesus Christ, she mad.
She mad. And in this quest, you can actually save them by pulling them or some shit like that. Don't remember how it works. Oh, you have like a shout or something like that. I think I lost like half of them before I realized that there's a shout.
That is a really cool entry.
Fury is mine. Everyone, this thing targets.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, I've doing it again.
Yeah, he didn't see the button.
I love this character. She's great. Go on, kill them all.
Yeah, he didn't see the button. He didn't see he can save them.
Might makes me.
That's a character I can be like, I want to kill that character. I can visually see the ramifications of this character. This character is sinister and evil without having to be all Skeletor about the whole thing. It was a real shame. They killed this character off very, very quickly. And I was like, oh, that was more important to me than many of the other big characters in the story.
I personally think this character died at a decent, appropriate time, as well as what happens when you kill that character, that it tells you that it's like maybe you can defeat him or some shit like that.
Because what the Herald of Balthazar was going to be. I was hoping for kind of a large-scale boss fight. Didn't really get that. Similarly with Aurine's brother.
I mean, at the same time, I don't see why you would have a big, bad boss fight with this person. You technically killed this boss like this is like the third or fourth time you're killing this boss. It's not, he was never, or she was never that strong. She would just always run away before you actually kill her, after she kills civilians. It's like not that big of a deal.
Mr. Vlast, there was a lot of rumor mongering about the brother lurking out in the sands, protecting people, a friendly dragon that was out fighting the good fight, and you meet and he dies within about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Now, there is some more storytelling happening here via memories that are dotted around the world.
Because it's not about Vlast.
Which is great. But yeah, ultimately, it was just like, I'm Vlast, and I'm dead, and out of there. And again, another character I kind of wanted to just spend some time with. Aurine probably wanted to spend time with. In terms of the overall...
I think they did Vlast fine. I actually didn't have a problem with him dying, because again, he's not like the main dragon or anything like that. He's a minor dragon. Aurine at this point is also a minor dragon. Right, she plays a major role as it goes, but he's a minor dragon. And then when you find all of his like leftover texts, whatever, I feel like that did enough justice to Vlast. I personally like didn't care that he died so early.
Overall story would have
that's just
that.
me.
This was my introduction, though, to a meme that has been building for quite some time in my live stream chat, which is about a character called Joko. I didn't know what Joko was. I had no idea what the hell Joko was, but when Path of Fire started, the name Joko started to resonate amongst the people. Joko is coming. Joko controls all the world. Joko is the most evil creature that has ever existed in my entire life. And God,
then
we can never align ourselves with Joko. So when it came to a choice in the first city as to who we would like to side with, or how do we get enough of an army together to defeat Balthazar, I turned down Joko, and it was nice to see that RPG choice in there. I've no doubt it just plays out identically.
I actually wonder what happens if you accept Joko's offer. If it even changes the story. Because I also chose, like, I think I kept it, resist Joko with the symbol of Cormyr and the Sun Spears. I feel like I chose the Sun Spears, but I don't know what happens if you choose Joko.
Either way, and gives you a bit of extra dialogue, but either way, I decided against teaming with Joko, mainly because my chat was like obsessed with Joko. Praise Joko was happening everywhere. Praise Lord Joko, and a lot of other big time Guild Wars 2 streamers.
I can't believe he goes right into the meaning Joko and not how cool it was that you actually died so easily. Like how smart the villain here was. I won't say he was the fucking genius, but he was smart, right? he was literally toying with you in order to bait Aurene and all that shit. I wish, like, maybe he'll go over it, but
started to arrive to see the
Beloved
joys
Joko.
of Joko. I did meet Joko. I met him in a sort of afterlife scenario. You know, I'm glad Ritlock's not here. Ritlock could just let this guy out.
oh, come on, that's not fair. Poor Ritlock.
Welcome to the domain of the lost. I am, of course,
You're Joko?
Joko.
Oh, boo!
I'm sorry, I don't know that name.
Liar! All who take breath know me. I am King Joko, the inevitable. The last primeval king. Joko the undying. The scourge of Vabi. Joko the feared. Joko the beloved. Joko, the eternal monarch of all. How dare you claim to not know who I am?
I have no memory of it.
This was one of those moments that kind of fell flat for me, unfortunately, because of my newness to the game, where you get to see a lot of characters that have been loved and lost over the years. Traherne and Tybalt, all these people in ghostly form, trapped and ensnared in the afterlife. But of course, for me, they died, you know, a few days ago, a few weeks ago, whatever.
Yeah.
So it didn't land as much as I would like to have to. I'm pretty sure that if I had been, you know, playing since the launch of Guild Wars 2, this would have been kind of a memorable moment. It's similar, maybe not, well, no. It wouldn't have been as strong as Endwalker, for example. It wouldn't have hit that hard, but it still would have been a nice moment, but it was still pretty cool. And this is where I met Joko, who I'm pretty sure is based off Murray from...
Oh, he doesn't know because Joko only gets released on the... Okay, he doesn't know. He thinks Joko stays here. I mean, clearly he should know that Joko is not staying here because of how much Joko has been hyped up. But he doesn't actually face Joko until, I believe it's what, Living World 4? Yeah.
Curse of Monkey Island. Chris, insert Murray here for reference.
You may call me Murray.
Bro. Wow, I remember this game. Holy shit. Can't believe it looked this bad. I thought it would look so much better, but that was like, you know, it's way back when.
I am a powerful demonic force. I am the harbinger of your doom. And the forces of darkness will applaud me as I stride through the gates of hell, carrying your head on a pike. Stride? All right, then roll. Roll through the gates of hell.
This was a odd one because of all... I thought it was then a meme, which made a lot of...
Yeah, just wait till you meet Joko in his true form, okay? I honestly, the character was like completely different from what I thought he was. In a good way, too.
sense. I thought they were just memeing on me. Is that this guy's the all-powerful and he's kind of just a talking, chattering skeleton in a cage, powerless and silly, and kind of jokey and, I will end you, that Skeletor style. He's like, but I have no power, and so on and so forth was going on with our boy Joko. So I kind of get it, that it was just like, you know, he's built up as this all-powerful, undying Deathlord creature. Yeah, he's just the kind of a twerp that's trapped in a cage, and he's kind of useless. Of course, we then had Balthazar. Balthazar is a great villain.
He doesn't know, does he?
Much less over the top than Scarlet that we've had in the past. Not a dragon.
Okay, there we go.
Which was a cool aspect. Guild Wars 2 is all about dragons, big nasty dragons, and
Yeah,
they were
he'll just heal
definitely
you.
in danger of falling into the cycle of like, well, which new expansion, which dragon is it
okay.
going to be? Let's just pick an element and throw another dragon in there. That's where I was how I felt about the story. And Balthazar was a really good change of pace because, one, his motives and stuff were understandable. Loved that. I could understand him even though he's a baddie. But as I've mentioned several times, we're kind of the baddies too. We're not the best people by any means. And I really enjoyed near enough everything with Balthazar. I thought he was a wonderful, wonderful character.
Yeah.
I liked every evolution of him. I liked his presence. I liked his heralds. I liked the fights against him. I really enjoyed everything about Balthazar. I think he made a wonderful villain for the story.
Yep.
The story did
I agree.
have some flaws, though.
Yeah,
I think that's, to be fair. In fact, I'll just focus on what I thought was the biggest flaw, and I'm sure this will resonate a lot with the Guild Wars 2 community, was the revelation that Ritlock, one of the more fan favorite characters in the Guild Wars 2 story,
because he is.
freed Balthazar from his eternal damnation. because he asked and he wanted a sword. It was, without swearing to get demonetized, it was absolutely goddamn stupid.
Was it? I didn't find that stupid at all.
My blade. How do I get it from such a terrible beast? And how do I get out of here?
Do you want the sword? I can give you the sword if you release me.
But again, it's like, the whole thing is that Ritlock was stuck there for what seemed to be an eternity for him, right? It, like, time doesn't flow the same way there that it does outside, right? So it's like, Ritlock at some point was like, bro, I just want to get the fuck out of here, right? And also, like, how would he, like, I don't know, I don't agree with this. Also, the way Balthazar looked like an old man. He didn't look like a demon or anything like that.
Release me, Ritlock.
You would help me? Get my sword. Okay.
Well, actually, didn't he have to get the sword in order to release him? Didn't Balthazar ignite the sword in order for him to be able to, for Ritlock to use that sword to release him? He couldn't release Balthazar, I believe, on his own. He had to use the sword to release him. And then Balthazar opened the portal and let Ritlock out too.
You're not a bad guy.
It was
are
like
you?
a favor for a favor.
It's mine. Once again. Thank you, kind stranger. Have a wonderful day. We go to war.
Yeah.
See you soon, Ritlock. See you soon.
What a wonderful guy. I hope he has a great life.
And again, there's the whole thing where like Ritlock is hazy about what happened in the mists, right? So it's like it affected him mentally. So I don't know. I don't like this argument too much. The mists have like affected Ritlock to an extent. That's why he also came back and he became a revenant instead of I think he was just a warrior before and became a revenant. So
It was so ridiculous. They played this cutscene of Balthazar being imprisoned, quite clearly imprisoned in damnation, and Ritlock's like, oh, okay, I'll help. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. It's like, why are you trapped here? Who are you? Any of these questions would have been pretty good questions to ask.
but then you would make the cinematic way too long. And again, the whole point is that Ritlock was there for what seemed for him to be an eternity. Hey, he meets a guy who tells him, like, yeah, I can help you go back home, and I can help you light the fire. Like, yeah, it's suspicious, but it's like, at that moment, that's his best case scenario.
Ask somebody who has been locked into eternal damnation. Ritlock apparently, no, I want a sword. I'm going to go get a sword. It was so dumb. It was so dumb and out of character that it really just made me feel like Ritlock can never be trusted to open a can of beans. I would rather send.
I really didn't take it that way.
Jobs that Ritlock wants to do. I think it.
I mean, I might be biased because I really like Ritlock, but in my opinion, first of all, Ritlock is more of the do now, think later type of guy. So in that regard, it kind of fits him, at least for the the beginning when you meet Ritlock. He's more of the do guy, not the think guy, right? So otherwise, he would have been what do you call them? The leader of the Char. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was in character overall. And again, the mists were like a mental attack on him. So I don't know.
It really hurt his character, which I think is a big shame. But there were some wonderful gameplay moments in this story evolution.
Oh man, when you get to the sword.
The withered training is what I would call it coming from World of Warcraft, but controlling a bunch of NPCs and brainwashing them,
this was
and then utilizing them in some way.
This was so fucking annoying for me. Because I was trying to do the achievement where you need to grab like 20, and then they just kept getting stuck in like random places or whatever, and they would just die into an AoE, and I was like, oh, fuck off. I don't think I could get that achievement. I think there's an achievement like to keep 20 of them alive or some shit like that. I don't think I got that one. I got the other ones, but I don't think I got that one specifically.
A little mini challenge of trying to keep them all alive was fantastic.
Yeah.
But of course, gameplay, so including the final battle was actually very starkly contrast to a lot of Guild Wars 2 stuff. Was very memorable.
Yeah.
Of course, with the reveal of
was a great fight
at the end, the return of dragons. and just how monstrous and villainous that character is.
But I remember I did this and this guy was like screaming, there he is, Torque or whatever. I was like, where is he? Where? And I turn around, I see the mask, and I was like, oh, there he is.
Was very, I would say, easily in terms of story and setting, Path of Fire has been my absolute favorite so far of Guild Wars.
And you are at the worst experience because the next one is gonna be better, and then the next one after that is gonna be better than that, etc., etc.
It really took everything to the next level. It fixed the level.
Oh man, I just remembered Living World 4, like the first main boss, the Warden. Dude, that fight, oh my god, such a good fight.
Problems of the past. It made a couple of blunders, for sure, but overall, fantastic, including the meta events, doing the race, especially with a mount focus expansion.
I also love that Balthazar teaches you the mechanics twice throughout the story, because he does basically the same mechanics for all the fights. I think on the third fight they're slightly more advanced, but they're still essentially the same mechanics. So if you learn his mechanics, especially during the second fight, you are good. This fight was not hard, because it taught you the fight already. But if you didn't know, you're gonna take a lot of damage. Also, it took me a while to remember the Aurene stuff.
Doing a
combination
race, around the areas and all that kind of stuff was fantastic. But mainly the mystery. Having so many things as I played through each zone that were like, I'm going to come back to this later, I'm going to come back to that later. Of course, as we described in Heart of Thorns, I've learned how to play the Guild Wars 2 expansions now. They're not about leveling or anything like that. It was pretty good. But let's get to the big thing, which is the mounts. So, it became very apparent in discussions leading into Path of Fire that a lot of people relished in delight that Guild Wars 2 was different than the mainstream, different from where World of Warcraft was, different from where FF14 was. And one of those big features, of course, was the lack of mounts. You had to traverse everywhere by foot or by warping to an area and then walking to where you wanted to go. Create a slower sense of gameplay that a lot of people very much enjoyed. And there was some in the community, which is going to happen. I want to point out, from our research, it doesn't look like there was a lot. No. There's always, no matter what change comes into a video.
I think majority of people were totally fine with these mounts because the way they made the maps made the mounts work. Whereas like in WoW, the mounts are just there to travel faster. A lot of times in Guild Wars 2, the maps are also designed for you to find like shortcuts specifically designed for mounts. Up until the flying mount. Flying mount, as much as it's a minigame, flying mount is literally to just travel faster across the map. But it is a massive fucking achievement to get, okay? It's a massive fucking job. So it's like you earn the ability to shortcut yourself, like hardcore. Whereas like in WoW, it's like, oh, well, here you go. Like you walked enough.
Video game, there's always some quantity of people who are viscerally upset about the change, even though the mainstream really doesn't care, or in fact, quite the opposite, is very happy to see it in. So we did some research on when mounts were announced, and yes, what we could see is a lot of people who were angry that this core feature, as they considered it, of Guild Wars 2 was going away. And they're just joining in with what the other games are doing. It's like, we got to have mounts now. And they were like, oh, I like that there's no mounts. They're going to spoil it. They're going to ruin it. How is this going to work? Yeah. Not happy about it. Whereas other people were like, finally, oh my God, I hate walking everywhere and doing all those kinds of things. You know, all that kind of stuff was just a nightmare. But overall, I actually thought the response to the announcement of mounts when Path of Fire was announced would be considerably worse than what it actually was. A lot of people were pretty level-headed about the whole thing. But ArenaNet did such a clever thing here. Not only do they give you your first mount almost immediately. Now, of course, it was the Raptor. I've had that for a long time now. Had it. But they also...
You literally get the Raptor in the prelude, right? Like in the intro, which is fantastic.
Immediately, and I mean within seconds, show you how it's so much better than World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, or any other MMOs with mounts in Skyrim and whatever.
Such a good,
and they nailed it.
Such a good game.
They nailed it. For years now, people have been telling me how good the Guild Wars 2 mount system is. And it is the basis of things. When Dragonflight was announced for World of Warcraft, it was a very big deal that this is basically Guild Wars 2.
That's actually cool.
Etc., etc., etc. So I was very curious about this system. And they made a lot, in fact, universally correct choices in introducing...
Okay, two things I actually wait for now. One, End of Dragons. Really looking forward to that. I'm pretty sure he will be disappointed with the Path of sorry, not Path of Icebrood Saga. I am fairly certain he will be disappointed with Frostbrood Saga ending. Icebrood Saga, sorry. Ending. But I feel like Icebrood Saga is still good. I don't know if Icebrood Saga is better than Path of Fire, in my opinion. It's hard to say. I kind of liked it, but for very different reasons. And also, unfortunately, it was like a forgive the, what's it called? Forgive Bram. Like, fuck that guy still. I don't care. But I can't wait till he compares the flying mount in Guild Wars 2 to the flying, to like dragon riding in WoW.
In this mount system, because of course, if you've not played Guild Wars 2 and you're following along this adventure, all of the mounts
I
have
want to compare
unique
it.
abilities.
I need to get it first.
Now, if you're a World of Warcraft fan or an FF fan, that's not really a big thing. You might get a different mount special, which is a different animation or something like that. But in Guild Wars 2, they have practical uses.
Good job.
For example, the Raptor mount that I ride around in can jump extremely long distances. It can hop from place
when you
to place.
upgrade it.
Short hops, but also very, very far. It has a stamina system. It can also crash down on top of enemies. Instead of just dismounting, you could crash into enemies and spin your tail to stun them as you get into combat, allowing you to dive into the combat and then crash into them, and your mount will spin and stun things. And then, of course, you have the masteries, which enhance their abilities. So for the Raptor, for example, as you level it up, it will be able to jump further. It will be able to regenerate stamina better, things like that, so it can become a more customizable mount. In the immediate introduction of the Raptor mount, they give you the Raptor mount. Now, of course, I was a little unimpressed because I've had the Raptor mount since level 20, but I've not been able to upgrade it. The mastery system actually doesn't come until Path of Fire. But they then give you a great city that you can jump around on. Very quickly, they're like, look what it can do. And you have to do it. You have to, and you're like, oh, okay. Look what it can do. Look at how good the Raptor is. And the way they did the mount system in Path of Fire was basically every zone gives you a new mount. And then there are hidden mounts, secret mounts. So we'll get to that in a second. So the Raptor was a really nice acquisition. And of course, I said the much more horizontal widespread zones allowed for you to utilize these jumps in a number of incredible places that suited the Raptor style. They did a great job of making you enjoy this, and you very quickly do start enjoying it. Now, well, the big change for me, of course, was having multiple mounts. I've only had the Raptor for... This is the third expansion on top of Other Living Worlds. So a very, very long time, I've only had the Raptor. And I was ultimately very surprised after, like, the base game and probably the first Living World is that I hadn't unlocked any different skins. I hadn't been given any masteries or anything. I just had the base Raptor.
Don't really get
but
those.
The second one was the Springer, which is a bunny rabbit, which can jump extraordinarily high. Again, these mysteries came in because all through the zones, I'm seeing these like, points and things that are really high up that I just simply cannot get in any way, shape, or form. And they did the same thing again that they did with the Raptor is you go to a village where they care for them, they raise them, they do all those kinds of things.
Teach you how to use it.
And then you get one to rent, essentially. You can rent a Springer to do the missions in order to be given your own, in order to acquire it. And I was like, this is pretty cool. This is really, really cool. I enjoy this. And
instead of hand-holding you and telling you what it can do, the game literally just shows you. You have to learn on your own. Instead of just like being like, oh, this is how you do it. Oh, this is what you click. No. Here are the objectives. Good luck. And you learn so much better that way as well.
And suddenly I got the masteries for it. And it changed the entire game for me.
That's what I said.
I'm not downplaying that.
That's what I said.
It changed the whole game. Once I got the Springer, that meant that mountains were no longer an issue. Literal mountains. It meant that when I walked into a temple or something like that, I looked at it with fresh eyes. Is there a ledge I can stand on? Because that means I could put my Springer on there and maybe I can get really high. It unlocked so many choices for me. And the next mount that I got alongside that was called the Skimmer. Now, this is the final required mount. That's it. So the game only gives you 3 of the many, many mounts that are in the game.
There's
it
6,
only actually requires you to have 3. And the final one is the Skimmer, which allows you to not fly, but glide very slowly. You can't get elevation, but you can go over toxic rivers and things like that.
You get elevation.
You could do a slight elevation, like a
there you go.
It's very much like a whale in how it travels.
Look at that skin, though.
It's got a very large turning circle, and this is where you start to notice that they very, very intentionally give the mounts extremely good pros, but also cons.
Yep.
Because what they didn't want, and I'm very curious how this plays out involving the flying mount, is they didn't want you to be a one mount kind of guy. They want to make sure you utilize all the abilities that the mounts have to offer.
Yeah.
Now, the skimmer is
Fantastic.
useful in certain scenarios, and I found it very useful later on in certain adventures where I could use the skimmer. But what it unlocked to me is something that I didn't realize how good the Guild Wars 2 mount system is until they put in a mission. A little side fun activity, which was to race around a zone and meet certain checkpoints, essentially. They were scouts that were out, but they're checkpoints. And they built this race to involve every single type of terrain you can imagine, so you had to utilize all of the mounts to do the race. And this is where hot swapping on and off mounts really shined, because no other game that I know of can do it like this.
Yep.
And it was the biggest flex
Rabbit.
I've ever seen.
Boom.
You'll start on the Raptor to jump across
you
a
don't
river,
have level
swap to the
2.
Springer to get up top of a mountain, glide down on the skimmer, swap back to the Raptor to get across some crevasse, and then do the same again and skim down and then go across a river and then hop back up onto a bunny. And because there's no cast time with the mounts, this means you can actively do it without being inconvenient.
As long as you're not in combat,
And
basically.
it's wonderful. And I saw at that point, that's when it kind of it dawned on me. Yeah, like I was getting these cool
It's
mounts.
not combat,
Again, the
it's
Springer changed the
when you
entire-
hit
how I looked at
someone
the game.
with a
Skimmer
mount
didn't really
and
do
they're
that,
alive.
but once I got into this environment where I could actively utilize them, all
I don't
and
have level 2.
find all their functionality mixed together in a seamless way, where it wasn't like stop, remount, things like that. Incredible, utterly incredible. Absolutely incredible, and they couldn't have nailed it any better. And it really was the highlight for me, probably of Path of Fire's gameplay mechanics, was actually the mount system like that. But it doesn't stop there, because I got to the final zone and I completed the story, and I couldn't do certain things. And this is where that mystery comes back in, right?
Yeah.
And the mystery was the portals and stuff around. And that's when I kind of got the clue from my chat, I'll be honest to them, is they were like, well, there are hidden mounts. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
There are more? They're like,
Look
where
at the
are they?
masteries.
Not telling you.
Oh, actually, you can't even see the
Which
masteries,
is
right?
great. My chat is wonderful. They want me to
Not
experience it
telling you.
legitimately. And so I did. The hunt
No,
was
it does.
on.
It does show you
hunt
the
was on,
jackal
because one of
mounts.
my goals with all of the Guild Wars 2 content is to complete the content before we move on. Which means I needed to find at least 2 hidden mounts somewhere in the game. And this is when it was like, press M, open that map up.
Good luck.
Where have I not been?
Yeah.
And so I made some logical assumptions. One is that there was a zone that didn't give me a mount. A toxic sulfuric wasteland that didn't give me a mount. So there's a very high chance there's a mount
I
there
haven't been
somewhere.
here.
And so I headed out into that zone and I'm looking around and I'm like, what could the clue be? And then obviously I've got thousands of people Pefe laughing at me to try and find it. But I did notice a rather interesting looking structure that was like floating high in the sky. And I was like, a good place to start. So after trying a few failed areas, I spotted this building and off I went. And lo and behold, after some finagling, which I'm pretty sure I did completely wrong, I managed to climb the tower and it was where the jackal was.
Yeah.
Give me my jackal. We're almost close to finishing this mastery. I would really like the level 4 mastery before we start leveling the jackal up.
Everybody's here.
Oh, fuck.
Everybody's here with their jackals. Look at that shit.
Oh.
Also, you have so many mini games with the jackal. All that shit. Goddamn.
One ready for a great
Don't buy the mini. There it is.
Perhaps you have
Jackal.
what it takes to master a jackal.
And the jackal has blink. For you WoW players,
Yep.
it has blink. It can teleport a very short distance on a very fast recharge system. So I found the jackal and acquired that within about 10 minutes of actually finding the building. Nice and easy. But that's when it changed entirely, didn't it? Yes, it did, because that's where they were like, there's another one.
Yeah. Yeah. There was that one.
There's another one. And I'm like,
and then there's one more
because I've
after.
finished all the zones now. Where could it be? So once again, I open the map and I'm looking around to any little area I've not been before. Now, there are going to be some people listening to this who are seasoned Guild Wars 2 players who probably check their inventory every now and again, who are going to go, you did what? But this is what I did, and I guarantee you, and the VODs exist, I did this entirely blind, but I accidentally found it after a lot of searching. And I also realized about 3 hours later that is absolutely not what you're supposed to do at all. Jesus. But essentially, it made sense to me that there must be somewhere on the map where it exists, because that's what happened to Jackal. And so I'm going on the hunt, and I did. I scoured every nook and cranny. I ended up going through, so I found some hidden jumping puzzles. I found very secret mini bosses. I found all wonderful things that were not the mounts until I eventually, I believe, I have to double check, but I believe it was the very last or second.
Dude, when does he get to do this? I see his streams sometimes, but like the timing for his streams, like when I'm sleeping usually, and I watch his streams like Final Fantasy 16 or some, like he did Final Fantasy 4 or some shit, and it's like, when does he play Guild Wars 2? Holy fuck, man.
Second to last area of the map that was covered in any way, and I bunny hopped to the top of a cliff. I saw a platform, and there was the Griffin, the flying mount. Now, not the flying mount. This is, again, pros and cons. It does fly. It flaps. I'm going to give a shout out here to a wonderful person who's been helping me since, called Weeping Willow in the Guild Wars community. It can fly once you've got all the masteries and things, but you have to be very, very good with it. Think dragon riding, but you need to be really, really good to make it work.
Sick.
And I am not really, really good. But either way, I found the Griffin, and an achievement popped up. This was the first time I'd really had to take part in one of the bigger features of Guild Wars 2, which is achievement acquisition. And this is how Guild Wars 2 does most of its grinds. Are achievements that you need to achieve, and they will then unlock things for you. Now, up until this point, of the months I've been playing Guild Wars 2, I have not had to do any of this stuff, or at least nothing.
The Griffin looks sick. I don't know, man. A few
minutes work. The Griffin was the first time I had to take part in a proper guild.
Wait, so is the Griffin the one that is compared to dragon riding, or is it the other flying mount, the flying cat thing? I forgot the name. Which one is the one? This looks like the dragon riding one.
Guild Wars 2 grind.
And
I didn't know where to start.
Sick.
But thankfully, I had some knowledge that we'd acquired, such as using the wiki. So I wikied the achievement, and lo and behold, ArenaNet has directly linked into the game guides for doing this stuff should you want to do it, including map locations, coordinates, teleport points, things like that. If you want the full walkthrough, you can do. So what I will tell you is I found the Griffin completely on my own. I referred to something that I did wrong. Throughout the zone... I'm
not that type of player. I will look up a guide. I'm sorry, but exploration is not something that I'm too interested in. I love stories and I love experiencing stuff, but looking for shit, especially when everyone already knows where it is. I love looking for stuff when no one knows where it is. I don't like looking for stuff when everyone knows where it is, and I feel like an idiot for not looking it up.
Been doing the quests. I had been dropping clues in my inventory as to where the Griffin was. I never check my inventory in Guild Wars 2. In fact, it's a colossal nightmare, and it makes people upset to see it. I clear it out once every few weeks, once it's really full. But essentially, I had all these clues as to where the Griffin was, and I never saw any of those. I stumbled across it. But I did use the walkthrough in order to acquire the Griffin. It was extraordinarily expensive, and I did invoke streamer privilege. I'll never lie to you guys, and someone just sent me the money. You do have to buy some items from vendors, which you're supposed to go and grind out in order to acquire that gold. I have obviously not done that because I started the game recently, and someone just sent it me. So I did get that bit for free. Don't hate me, it's just the nature of the beast. And people obviously prefer me to do the gameplay of the grind rather than just grind money.
I can probably buy it.
So it
I have over 100,000 gold.
So that's what we did, and I got the Griffin. And I'm awful at it, because I've run into a situation in Path of Fire where we got... I want to cap every mount's mastery, because their last level skills are really good, such as the Spring.
Well, you don't need to cap them all. I think most of them, 3 or 4 masteries is enough, because the last one, I believe for the Raptor and the Bunny, the last one is like share something of some ability from your mount with other mounts. So it's like the Raptor spin and tail. I think that's what you are sharing with other mounts or whatever. And it's like, I don't care. Like the flying mount fire is probably the only one that I would care about, but all the other ones, like, I'm almost never use them.
Super high. The
Actually,
jackal
no.
being able to go through
I did use the bunny one because it's the fastest way to get down.
all the portals, which I can now do, which was awesome because it unlocked a lot of jumping puzzles. The skimmer can go underwater, I believe. I still haven't acquired that. And that was kind of the nature of the beast, is I needed to do a lot of mastery filling in order to get all those things. And I acquired the mounts faster than that. So I put the griffin on the back burner for now because I want to do them in order. And then we'll get that stuff along
No
the
real
way.
reason
But
to do them in order.
in conclusion, guys, Path of Fire, wow.
Yeah.
Literally, wow. What an extraordinarily good expansion. It's hard to find fault in it other than like slight story bumps. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's literally it. Everything else I did was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I know there's still more mounts and stuff for me to get as we move forward in this, including the Sky Scale, which people keep laughing at me as well about. I think that's probably
Scale,
gonna be
that's the last
considerably
one.
worse than the Griffin.
Oh, yeah, I heard
Goddamn,
that one's
it's so
way
worth
worse.
it. And I kind of conclude on the same message I've put out since
Way
we
harder to
played
get.
a bit of Guild Wars 2 is if you're into MMOs in any way, shape, or form, and you are like dipping on Guild Wars, I just think you're fucking yourself. Honestly, I think you're screwing yourself. I really do. I know some people
Spoken
look at
like a
UIs
lit
and things. They're
real
like,
MMO player.
you know, it kind of looks.
I'm telling you, bro, if Asmongold ever decides, like, yeah, I know the aesthetic doesn't look for, but if Asmongold plays that shit, fucking the servers will collapse. The Guild Wars 2 servers will just fucking be like, yeah, we're taking a break because we can't handle this shit. Preach is big, don't get me wrong, but he's not Asmongold big, okay? When it comes to like trying new games and like bringing communities into that shit, dude, let me tell you. And I know already a lot of his community played or plays Guild Wars 2, and they kept telling him that because I saw a lot of his videos where he says, I just don't like how the game looks. But bro, let's be real here for a second. He played RuneScape. How the game looks should not be a problem anymore. But I don't think there's just enough time for him to do it. I also don't feel like he's in an MMO space right now. Right? He's playing Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4, right? Then it's going to be Path of Exile. It's like, it's going to be a while before he goes back to MMORPGs. Joshua Hayes said a lot of good things about Guild Wars 2. Like, I haven't seen a creator that just talks about MMOs say anything bad about Guild Wars 2. Like, current iteration of Guild Wars 2. It is just such a good game. I cannot say it enough.
I don't understand what's going on is always the classic one. You do after like an hour of gameplay. Once you start playing it, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not...
That is probably the worst part about Guild Wars 2. However, if you start with just like Path of Fire Plus, I mean, story-wise, if you care about story, then I wouldn't recommend it. But if you don't care about story, like you're just a person that doesn't give a shit about story, and just start with Path of Fire, get the mounts, and then go into End of Dragons, and like you'll have a blast, in my opinion, in terms of like gameplay overall. But I do believe that Guild Wars 2 does suffer from the, you know, oh, you gotta play for 100 hours for it to be good. It does suffer from that, in my opinion.
Not a perfect game by any means. Like, I still detest the inventory. There's still a lot that I think needs fixing, for sure. But in terms of where they're going and the path they're taking throughout their story,
see what the expansion
it just gets
get.
better
Oh
and
my
better
God,
and better every
man.
single time. And now I've got to experience what people keep telling me about the Guild Wars 2 mount system. It's phenomenal.
It is.
It destroys other MMOs in terms of how it's working. And my concern now is that there is an actual full-fledged flying mount in the game. And I'm very concerned that that's going to take that away from me. And it's called the Sky Scale. So we'll be getting there at some point for sure. And hold me to this, because that's one of the
End of
things I want
Dragons,
to-
right?
Thank you so much for listening.
No, wait,
ladies and
Sky
gentlemen.
Scale. No, Sky Scale is Living World 4. It's after the main quest for Living World 4. So he's not even that far off. Just needs to play the whole Living World 4.
We're onwards to Living World Season 4. And of course, our next video will be on the Raid Wings. We have, as we're
Wings.
recording
Oh.
this, there's Raid Wings 7 is all that remains. So we'll be covering 4, 5, and 6.
Nice.
Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
The massive fucking
Apocalypse.
like on this. Is this bloopers?
It is a bit weird.
I want to see a grown-ass man putting on weird costumes. I know, like, people find funny. It's whatever. It's like, I don't find cringe. It's just like, just not my thing. And that's the start for you. It's a week into the Path of Fire expansion. You have gotten all 4 mounts as advertised, and you believe you have experienced at least all the major points of the expansion, as do all your friends. And then, as you are casually exploring the map, trying to get that 100% completion, you stumble upon a player riding a mount you have never seen before, not in advertisement nor in rumor. That was me seeing the Griffin for the first time in game, and that experience was pure magic. Imagine keeping such a big game feature completely secret. God damn. Actually was a secret, huh? Obviously coming in late, it's not like nothing is really that much of a secret because you kind of know, but like damn, yeah, I can imagine. As a Guild Wars 2 vet, I will say Ritlock freeing Balthazar is in character. That's what I think. Yeah, the sword is seen by him as the last hope of dispelling the ghosts that plague his homeland, and as the sword is the sister sword that damned the souls of the living humans to haunt. Yeah, also his mind was messed around by the mist. Yep. Why would he care what a human god may or may not do after being free? Hard agree. Ritlock isn't a moron. He just doesn't give a shit. There we go. Believe in iron, not false gods. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is 100% within Ritlock's character. And again, they had to keep cinematics short because their budget is low overall. And they still have more cinematics than fucking World of Warcraft. Okay, like, let's be real. So yeah, in my opinion, 100% Ritlock is still the man, still the top G. Anyways, thank you for watching. That's my reaction, and man, I can't wait for, well, Living World 4 is actually going to be really good as well. I think you will enjoy the last fight of Living World 4. I think you would. It's gonna be like a course correction to an extent for all the previous bosses he fought that he didn't like. And then, I'm sorry, but Icebrute Saga he will probably not like, because it's, again, anticlimactic. You don't really get to fight the dragons. But damn, I can't wait for End of Dragon. Oh my god, that's gonna be so good. I want to redo that fight. Like literally the last one. I can actually redo it. I can do like redo the story and the last quest and just redo the fight. Man, that's such a good fucking, oh, so good. So good.